Hi there, I'm Becky Hammond, founder and strengths maven over at Isogo and isogostrong.com. Welcome to Isogo TV video podcast and now audio podcast as well. Here on Isogo TV, we are fueling marriage connection, parenting grace, and work energy by focusing in on your strengths instead of fixating on your weakness. We are in the third season of Isogo TV, and this is episode 65. During this mini-series, we are looking conflict right in the eye, because we all know that the thing about conflict is if you're breathing, you experience conflict. So over these 6 episodes, we are exploring a path to conflict resolution from a strengths perspective, and we're making right relationships at home and at work. Be sure to grab the free PDF called Strengths-Based Conflict Resolution Path and Action Plan to follow along and mark your own progress in your path to conflict resolution. You can find that at isogostrong.com/conflictresolve. In this episode, we bring together everything you need to begin that conflict resolution conversation. And it starts with the way that you set up the conversation right at the beginning. So let's dive in. If you've been following along with our series on conflict management, you have done some serious introspection so far about your emotional templates, your perception frustration, and the position and motivations of your heart. So, if so, now you're ready for respectful, private confrontation. Recently, one of my professional clients was berated in front of all of his colleagues. He felt horrible. His boss, it seemed, felt vindicated. Public correction is not uncommon. We see it in all of our organizations, in our families, and in our politics. The reason behind these public attempts at behavior correction varies, but often there's an element of shame built into the purpose. In my client's case, he was truly in the wrong for what he did, but his boss was frustrated and didn't have much self-control or forethought about the decision. And it sure did not even have the desired effect. It made the boss look frantic and made my client feel less motivated and encouraged to work harder, not more. In conflict, the most effective approach to resolution begins in private. In private, you bring safety, trust, and a position of respect. And once you've brought awareness to your emotional templates, identify the part of your perceptions that are playing in the conflict, and have inspected your own heart for your motivations, you're ready to address the conflict with the other person involved. The key there is person, singular. You're ready to go to that person in private to begin the conversation about your conflict or your challenge. As a manager, and in our family actually, our motto has been praise in public, correct in private. We give the conflict the best chance for resolution, and we extend honor and respect when we confront the behavior privately. But also, as an important side note, this is different when physical or emotional abuse is at the center of the conflict. So please use discretion as you enter into dialogues inside an abusive relationship. Here, there is health in numbers, not privacy. So here's an example of respectful private confrontation in our conflicts. A recent coaching client manages a large budget and a small team, and she and her team complement each other by playing different roles, each sitting in a different seat on the bus. Shortly into her new role as manager, one of her team members, Joanna, was not playing her part, and it was becoming disruptive. They have regular meetings as a team, and the manager was tempted to address the behavior within those meetings because, after all, it was affecting everyone. But instead, she chose first to go in private. Using the strengths on the bus word picture, she set the stage for Joanna and said something like this. She said, "You, Joanna, are the driver, and you are a crucial part of our team. I'm out in front with a megaphone, making sure our voice is heard and the way is cleared. Tom is on and off the bus, making us known and ensuring we're headed in the right direction. Katie is ensuring that everyone is feeling excited and engaged there on the bus. You are the driver. You're the only driver. You get us to the end, and you are so important. We cannot go anywhere if if you have your foot on the brake. I'm not saying that you need to be pedal to the metal, but you have to let your foot off the brake and help us get to the end. Joanna, she's stoic and thoughtful in personality. She let it sink in, and then she started driving again. By going to Joanna in private, the manager had a unique ability to craft specific communication for Joanna, and her effectiveness for reaching her, it soared. So, what's a good strategy for respectful private confrontation? Here are the 4 strategies that you can use to address your conflict in a respectful, private way. First, understand the emotional template that you bring into the conflict and conversation. Based on your previous interaction and your understanding of their talents and troubles, understand what you expect and look objectively at the influence these expectations have on the conflict and your confrontation approach. 2, evaluate your own perceptions. In the example with Joanna above, the manager had both negative and positive perceptions of Joanna's strengths, and she understood the influence of those perceptions going into the conversation. Number 3, inspect your heart. Be introspective and honest about the contribution you have played in the conflict and the motivations of your heart surrounding the conflict. And number 4, you're ready. Go in private. Be thoughtful about the way you communicate your frustration or your challenges. Use your knowledge of their strengths to craft intentional conversation that break down the barriers and defenses and that gets through to their own mind and their own heart. So as a start, you can use our guide that's called Communication That Gets Through. It's a free PDF resource where I give you an idea of the type of communication that will best speak to the strengths of the people around you and will help you approach the private conversation in a healthy and effective way. Now, as you go in private, you create safety and trust. And on that foundation, you're on a path to conflict resolution. So, will you go there? It can be so much easier to talk with others about the conflict instead of going straight to the source, or to rope others into getting it resolved. Yet, your most honoring and effective place starts one-on-one. In this episode, I mentioned the Communication That Gets Through resource that gives you an idea of what type of communication will resonate best with each of the 34 StrengthsFinder talent themes. You can get that at isogostrong.com/communication tool and begin to prepare yourself for that private conversation in a customized and thoughtful way. And you'll also not want to miss the free PDF that we're offering with this series. It's called the Strengths-Based Conflict Resolution Path and Action Plan over at isogostrong.com/conflict resolve. So be sure to grab that right now and map your progress to conflict resolution. You know, ultimately, my dream would be to get to the bottom of every conflict in every home and in every workplace across the world. And by orienting our mind towards our strengths, I know we can make steps to get there. So I'd love to ask you to share Isogo TV, the video or the audio version, with your circles on Facebook, Instagram, or right there in your home or your office. And if you like Isogo TV, please leave a 5-star review over at iTunes. It not only means a lot to me, but it also helps others find this podcast resource too. I'm glad you were here today to continue to get into the nitty-gritty of conflict resolution in your marriage, your parenting, or your work by using your strengths. And I hope you join me next time on Isogo TV.